Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Human Side of Business podcast. In this series of episodes, we will be discovering, exploring, discussing, reflecting on the main topics that we are having in this soft skilled environment for businesses. So, this is what we will be doing during these days. And I'm really happy to have two of my colleagues, two of my friends from Dinergy. First, I will introduce Thanos from Dinergy Greece, and I also have here Olivier from Dinergy Switzerland. Welcome, and yeah, today we will be talking about cross-gen leadership, how to manage different generations now in the business environment. So first of all, I would like to ask you, how are you? Welcome.
Nice to see you again, Mike, even remotely.
Good. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here, and I'm sure the audience is going to be really happy of what you can bring to the table, of your experiences, of all your insights, not only in the room but also talking with clients, especially. So I think we will have a really good episode. And it's funny because this is the first time in history where four generations are working together in the workplace. And I think we can start by maybe naming these generations, talking about a little description about them. And then I would like to ask you about the challenges and how we manage it. So we're talking about four generations. We have the boomers. They grew up after the post-war prosperity. They value hard work, stability, loyalty, and they are seen as traditional because they like to see this full career plan, full plans, house, pensions, a lot of planning, really stable life. Then we also have the Generation X. They are seen most as independent as they had their family working. So there were a lot of kids staying alone at home for the first time. So they started seeing a lot of economic changes. So this also is like kind of how their personality was shaped. They value flexibility, work-life balance in a way, not as much as the new generations, but in a way it started there, the discussion, and also the self-reliance. We also have there the millennials. These are a lot of these are tech-savvy people. They grew on this fast-paced technological changes. So they have this experience prioritizations. They value meaningful work, like they want to be there and do things that really have meaning behind what they are doing in the workforce. And then we have Generation Z, that I think we don't have any of those in Dinergy yet, but we are soon going to have some Generation X. And they're true digital natives. They are diverse. They are socially aware, really like to be pragmatic. And they value more authenticity, mental health, and constant connectivity. So even by these descriptions, we can even already find some of the main difference of the generations. But I would like first to ask you, what challenges have you seen this difference bring to the workforce?
Maybe before that, Mike, it would be interesting to say in which generation we belong.
Nice. I think we're representing three generations now.
Yes, personally, I'm in Generation X. If I remember well, it's between 1965 and 1980. So I was born in 1974, 51 to 52 already. I belong in Generation X. So here's one generation in the early family.
And just to add to what you said, Thanos, I'm supposed to be a late boomer, which is kind of the end of the boomers generation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a millennial, so as I said, I think we have it's going to be a really interesting discussions because we have three of the four generations we're going to talk about here represented. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting the values and the difference we can bring to the table.
That's a good diverse thing already.
Yeah.
In terms of generations.
So Thanos, talking about this, what are the main challenges that probably your clients have talked about, or that you have already seen even in the classroom? Because even in the classroom, they are different. So can you talk anything about this?
I bring from my memory mainly discussions from the classroom and between people who are millennials or even more Generation Z. And differences between those two generations and my generation, or even some. No, I don't think I have too many boomers in my experience, my classrooms. Mainly Generation X, Millennials, and Generation Z. And the majority of those people are in my generation. So I have the insights from my generation. Okay, from Generation X, there are few people that I have trained. They are millennials or even younger. So what people used to say, Generation Xers used to say, is that we cannot understand younger people. We cannot find a common ground. We cannot communicate. At least we cannot communicate easily. And this is a problem when it comes to hierarchy. Usually Generation Xers are managers or are in charge. They are at upper level in the hierarchy, and millennials or Generation Z are individual contributors, some of them entry levels or in the middle level. So as managers, they find difficulty in how to communicate and how to delegate and how to persuade younger people to have a task delivered, sometimes to receive feedback, to adopt the message from a feedback. Mainly, those are the pain points.
Thank you, Thanos. And Olivier, have you seen any difference here, especially with the perspective of, as Thanos just said, from my generation, the Generation X? What can you also bring from the Boomer generation?
Well, I mean, first, we have to consider, I mean, speaking about Switzerland, if I look at my clients, at our clients, all HR people are very concerned, very anxious in a way about how they can build up a good relationship, as Thanos said, to bridge the gap, especially with Generation Z, the younger guys, the younger people. So there is it's a top of mind topic. And sometimes they look at us and say, hey, do you have like a recipe, like a magic way of making things get smooth with those young talent. The issue here is how to attract them, and also maybe more importantly, how to retain them. And I have some anecdotes. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I was talking with the executive vice president of a large industrial company, and he said, in my team, I had this young talent, young engineer, a very bright guy. So I did whatever I could to be open, to be empathetic, to give him opportunities, like a salary increase, bonus, whatsoever. And then after 2 years, he said, hey, I'm leaving, bye-bye. And then, why? Well, I want to do something else. And the guy was shocked, kind of. I played, I used the playbook, just what we are supposed to do as good leaders and good managers, and it didn't work. And so there's kind of a frustration. That's what I observe in the management of various companies, organizations here in Switzerland.
Yeah, so you've already raised 2 of the main challenges, Thanos and Olivier. One of them is communication, and I think we can put a lot of things in communication, and maybe that's one thing I would like to go deeper, because we all in our Dinergetic management program, we always say that communication is the way you actually have to manage people. So I think we can go deeper there. But you also talk about something that for me is really interesting, and I think there's where the main difference lacks, and it's in the career plan, in the motivation. Where do we get motivation from? how do we see the future? Because I have found, and I sometimes think I'm a millennial with a little bit of Generation Next life, because sometimes I don't even understand my own generation. But now, even when you talk to participants, say like, what do you see yourself in 2-3 years? Not even going far away, like 2-3 years. It's really difficult for them for the new generations to do that exercise. Everything is so immediate. Everything is so now, especially with the social media consumption, etc., etc. So thinking for them further than this weekend is really, really hard for them. And if we go back, I always put Luis Martinez, that is from Dinergy Mexico, an example, another boomer in our academies. And I always say, like, he knew he wanted to be a leader in the company he used to work, and he knew he had to stay there for X amount of years until he could reach that. And that was okay. Now you ask a millennial or a Generation Z to do that, and it's impossible for them to visualize the career plan for a lot of years. So yeah, what else can we talk about? What drives the different motivations in this kind of aspect?
Well, maybe Mike, I would like to share something, since you asked us you invited us already a few weeks ago to take part to this podcast. I had the opportunity 2 weeks ago to meet a bunch of young graduates of my university. We were coming to Geneva, so like all of a sudden there was kind of a evening apéro, as we say here, like a party. Those guys, they were kind of 10-15 young guys, exactly, like 25 to 30 years. They have graduated maybe 1 or 2 years ago. It's kind of they are in their first experience, first job. And then, I tried to, from one by one, ask them, what is it? What is for you a good leader? Somebody you feel comfortable with, you want to stay with. And what was fascinating is that actually all of them, and I made sure to address them one by one, not just to avoid one to influence the others. There was a clear focus. I mean, they all said, we want to our boss to be a mentor, to help us grow, and to give us feedback. And this word feedback, it came many times. Feedback. And at the same time, then I said, okay, what should be avoided in terms of behavior? Lack of respect. And then you realize, now it's becoming a bit difficult, because when it comes to feedback, okay, so maybe my first recommendation would be, please, if you are the boss of a like Gen Z kind of person, provide positive feedback as much as it is necessary. But then from time to time, there is also this so-called constructive feedback, like something that didn't happen the way it should. And then how do you do it in a way that the young guy perceives that it's okay? It's not like reprimand, and he or she feels respected. And this is very interesting, because this topic of feedback has been at the center of what we have been doing in Dinergy for decades now. And I strongly believe the way we recommend people to do it is the right one. It's be focused on facts, not judgment, not trying to push down the person, and on the contrary, try to help that person to grow, to find him or herself the way to correct and to improve. And this is actually what would be a definition of mentoring. So that's maybe a good insight I got from this bunch of young people I met some time ago.
Yeah, it's funny, because before the earlier generations, boomers and Generation X, they could wait for the feedback once a year, and even sometimes not even that. They saw their feedback when they saw the salary, and they say, "Oh, I'm doing good," or "I'm doing bad," when they saw the salary. But now, new generations are asking for constant feedback, even if it's good or bad. They want constant feedback, but it's really important what you just mentioned. With good respect, with good manners. They don't want people shouting in the office. They don't want people saying you are X or that or whatever, that with insults. This is really, really important for them, and they value this a lot. Like, they like this connection with the leader. They like this constant interchanging ideas with the leader, etc., etc., as long as it's in a respectful and good ambience manner.
They distinguish very much the difference between critique and feedback. They don't want critique. They
Yes.
don't want to be criticized. They don't want to feel criticized. Even if the intention of the person giving feedback was to give feedback, the thing is, am I hearing feedback or criticism? So it's a very fine line sometimes. And it's sometimes the difference between perception and reality. If I perceive your feedback as a criticism, there's a problem. If I perceive your feedback as something that will make me grow professional-wise and bring me closer to my career goals and make me develop even more, then it's well, much appreciated.
Yeah.
Sure.
Please, Olivier.
Yeah, just to elaborate on what Thanos said. Yes, there is kind of a thin line. There is the thin line between, do the right feedback and the criticism which is not good, which is really badly perceived. And this is why, by default, I mean, any manager needs to learn and rehearse and do whatever is necessary to be able to provide the feedback in the right way, which means, obviously, as we say, look at the facts, observations, also choose the right words. Any word that could be perceived as offending, as a lack of respect, then it's done, it's over, then you lose the person. So it's a challenge because sometimes, as we all know, there is pressure, there is stress, so your words will be maybe not exactly what you wanted to say, and then there is a harsh word coming up, and it's too late, it's done. And this is where it's so important, I think, to really keep emotions down, keep control of self-control as a manager, because otherwise, if you just behave like natural, like emotional, sooner or later there will be a big divide with your younger staff.
I agree.
Yeah, and there's something interesting because you, Thanos, mentioned at the beginning where we talk a little bit about the generation and we define them, that most of the Generation X and Boomers are now in the leadership roles because of experience, etc. But a little bit by little, millennials are starting to get into those leadership roles now. We have more millennials,
yes.
Because it's easier to handle the generational difference when I'm the boss and the millennials are just, because at the end they have to do what I want them to do in a way because I'm the leader, But now when we're having different generations in the same hierarchy level, it's when also challenges start, because if I have the two bosses, for example, like in a lot of companies happens this, I have to report to the two different people, and I have to report to a boomer or a Generation X, and I have to also report to a millennial. There are big differences there in how they are going to ask me, how they're going to try to motivate me, so that's also a challenge for the employees, for the collaborators.
And this is something that from time to time we are facing during training. I mean, it's very usual to hear, are you going to make the same training to our bosses, which usually are another generation, an older generation, because let's say I'm a middle manager, and I have some tools, some methodologies that will help me develop my team or have a better way that I provide feedback. If my manager comes and reacts in a different way, then we have two different messages and two different approaches. And that, in psychology, it leads to other consequences. You cannot understand what is right or wrong and which is the path that I will take if I'm the receiver of two different messages, of two different feedbacks. So what you said reminds me of that. Are you going to say the same things to our managers? Are they going to pass through this training? Are we going to have the same language in the way that we're going to handle our teams.
And just to build on this, after, and then I'll give you the word, Olivier. I also feel this, and it's even like sometimes there's this frustration, or what's the point of me learning this? And even because we know that new generations are a lot of self-teaching themselves with the internet, with all the media that it's there. So they're like, what's the point of me learning this if up there it's gonna be just the same, if the leadership up there doesn't change? If so yeah, this is also a challenge, because we also now can talk about these other, because probably we'll talk about negative things about the younger generations, but there's this positive thing about younger generations of having more knowledge, of changing things, of adopting what they learn, etc., etc. And they maybe sometimes are a little bit more flexible on the ways of changing things, of learning. And we find that older generations are really getting to the way of the leadership they received is the leadership they deliver. So this is really, really interesting point. Yes, Olivier.
Now, this is where, I mean, you are right, Mike. This is where, especially now I'm speaking on behalf of people of my generation, you need to be open to change, and you need to accept that change. Anyway, of course, there is no company organization that can decide, okay, let's stop hiring younger people and we will keep only the older ones. I mean, it's a suicide. I mean, after 15 years, there is nobody left. So you have to adapt, and now the question is how. And here, coming back to this, what these young people told me recently, like we really enjoy mentoring. Even someone told me, I like this conversation in front of the coffee machine, with my boss, where we can really, share experience. And I value the experience of my boss, provided it's not like teaching me a lesson. Again, this is a thin line that the elder person needs to find. I would say one of my recommendations to especially people in boomer or late bloomer in my generation is ask questions, be curious. Don't tell younger people, I know because I'm older than you. This is obviously killing everything. This is killing the relationship. So ask questions, be curious, and then the conversation can start, and there will be respect from both sides.
Something that I also like to bring to the table is I've had sometimes, not much, but some client told me, please don't label them as these generations, like give them as if we were all one big group. And for me, this is a big mistake, because by not finding the difference in the generations, you cannot approach those differences, and you cannot see the difference. So if you try to see everyone as they have to work all the same, they have to do all the same things, you will never get what you actually want. And building on what you say, Olivier, of let's just hire boomers and let's just hire X generations, it's like, it's gonna be over. As you said, sometimes those generations are gonna be retiring and stuff. Millennials are here, and I connect this with the idea of millennials are staying really little short periods in the workforce, and they look for another experience. They're doing this, and I'm like, we have to now live with that reality. That's part of the way they do. Like, but one good or bad news, the way you want to see it, is when you hire a millennial and he leaves, then you're gonna get another millennial, or probably a generation Z, and they will have the same. So it's part of the thing we have to adapt to this way of working.
What's the funny thing in all of this discussion and, let's say, debate between generations? One generation are the parents of the other. So you, as an older generation, you are facing the mistakes that you made as a parent. Maybe not mistakes. Maybe it's a harsh word, but you are facing the way that you brought up another generation. Maybe you gave a lot. You created a lot of expectations. This is not, I don't mean that this is good or bad, but you created an environment in which the younger generation expect things to happen. So is it good or bad to be a job hopper? Is it good or bad to be a young person that anticipates to be manager in a couple of years? Is it good or bad that a younger person anticipates work-life balance? And that reminds me of an interesting discussion that I had with a group that I trained a couple of years ago. There are people more or less in my age, maybe plus 5 years or maybe more. And when they started discussing about younger generations and how to handle them, at first they were, very strict in their opinions, in their positions. I facilitated a little bit of this discussion, and as we were proceeding with the discussion, they finally came up at the conclusion that, okay, guys, we are not experts at everything. We are not the correct part, the correct side of the story. And just try to remember when we were younger, what the older generation used to say about us. You're lazy, you're not hard workers, you're expecting everything to be ready from us, from your parents, from the older generation. You want things to come easy to you. So what we did, we adopted the way that the older generation used to work, and we started working 10 hours, 12 hours, a little bit of a modern slavery way of working. And what we what we succeeded by this way. We gained some things, but we also lost some things. And maybe the thing is not how we can bring younger generation to our way, but how we can make a bridge between generations. So we have to step to make some steps forward to them, and somehow to attract younger generations to us, and try to combine good things from different perspectives, and to see if there is a way to make some bridge, because it's not black and white. And it was very interesting how they concluded from starting, to be very strict. Oh, we are top, and the others should develop themselves. And they concluded that, okay, we're not exactly experts. We're not exactly correct in everything. We are not 100% good to what we're doing. So maybe we should, lower our standards and the way that we are evaluating ourselves. It was a kind of self-reflecting conversation that concluded to this conclusion, and it was very interesting.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to come into this, how to manage, how to, like, or we already established a little bit of the problem. We already established the part of the motivation, the part of the career plan, the way we can wait or we cannot wait for a feedback, the communication that I think we can go deeper. But I really like something that you're mentioning, Thanos, and for me it's also like the main thing. Then we're gonna talk about maybe some tools, but the main thing is the flexibility, the trying to adapt. And I love this example that sometimes we give here in our trainings in Mexico, that it's like, imagine you are a granddad and you have your grandchildren there with the iPad. Probably your grandchildren knows how to manage the iPad better than you. He knows how to turn it on, how to move it, because he was born with that. But he knows to know your experience on what sites he can enter, what apps he can use, if he can do something or not, he can talk to strangers or not. Like, there's the adaptability. Me as a granddad, I have to understand that technology is faster than me, and probably my grandchild is already on top of that technology. But my grandchild has to understand that I have the experience to teach him where to enter, what to do, what to click, what not to click. And there's the flexibility. As you said, we have to meet ourselves in a middle point. It's not like neither we are better because we have all the technology and we know how to use it, nor you are better because you have the experience. So I think that's a really important thing you mentioned, the flexibility, adapting to others, understanding others first, and then trying to adapt.
Yes.
Mike, there is another dimension also when you speak about flexibility, and this is about, as an employer, a company, an organization, what kind of collaboration mode you can find with those younger people, and it's not maybe by default people think we need to hire talent, but there are other ways. And I remember a discussion I had with an executive of a large company, Geneva-based company, a few years ago. He was in charge of R&D, and at some point he identified a bunch of engineers, young graduates, very talented. They had done some sort of a research work, maybe a PhD on a very very specific technology that company was very interested in. And so they approached there were 2 or 3 guys and said, "Hey, we would like to hire you." I said, "We are not interested. We want to create a startup." Okay. So was it the end? No, because then they reflected and they said, "Oh, if you create a startup and we sign with you a 5-year contract by which we fund some of your research and we are kind of your client, your privileged, preferred client," they said, "Oh, that's okay. That's nice, actually, because it helps us, start and with solid grounds and get some funding from whatever investors." And they did like that. So again, it's the collaboration is sometimes is not, maybe not in all cases, but sometimes it's not just trying to hire people, but maybe respect the autonomy, the fact they want to do it maybe on other approach like startup, entrepreneur, but sign with those guys a contract. Of course, then there is a lot of things to cover, who owns the IP, this kind of stuff, but this can be discussed in a way that it's a win-win agreement.
Yeah, and as you said, like the thing of getting to know actually what the other person actually wants and what drives them. Again, I'm talking about motivation probably, but I'm also talking about what you just said, Oliver, how I want to work. Like I remember in my first years in Dinergy, I started a bit young when I joined Dinergy, and I was a young father. And I remember Luis, our country manager here in Mexico, telling me like, "Oh, I offered you this X amount more of money." And I don't want more money because I know I have to work more hours if I get more money. And I wanted those years to have more time for my daughter. And I was like, I had really that in mind. And I understand this. It's different what we're doing, and sometimes we think like we have to give more salary, more bonuses, more, and probably they want to go to the office with a shirt and not with a suit, or probably they want to go early on Friday and they don't care about money. They want to do something to help the society, put me in some society helping, and I'm happy with that. So we have later, before we didn't have to do that. We could see collaborators as numbers and they give me my results and that's it. Since a long time ago, and that's why Dinergy exists also, we have taught people that they have to get to know the people that they are managing. And I think now with new generations, this is more important than ever, because everyone motivates themselves different. They have different passions. They have different ways of working. Some people are the best at home office. Some people want to go to the office. And we have to understand that we have to create these flexible scenarios for people to give us the best performance.
I believe this is the main the main issue that Daniel Pink is talking about in his book Drive, and that was the problem that writes about that. Many companies believe if I give you money, you are going to be happy and you are going to be motivated and you are going to be even more productive and everything is going to be all right. And when some companies did it and found out that money is not the fuel that some people are looking for, then they started to rethink about what is motivation. And actually, what we usually also say in our trainings is that motivation is something explicitly personal. Maybe sometimes you can find someone that has the same motives with another person, but this is luck. This is not something that came up naturally. So motivation is something that has to do with me. It's absolutely personal. So if I'm a manager, whatever the generation that I'm from, I have to find out what motivates my people, my team, my colleagues, even if I have only one person to manage, and to try to adapt. Again, the adaptability, again, the flexibility is a main issue there. How I should adapt the ways, the tools that I will use in order to motivate my team. It's not something that I can do and cover every person, every situation that I have.
Yeah, there's no one size fit all here in managing generations. Yeah, and also, for example, one concept we use when we talk, when I as a collaborator have to how to manage my boss, we talk about a concept that is confidence and adaptability. But we normally the way we teach it is from collaborator to boss. But I now understand, and even though we say it goes both ways, but we normally teach it only in the third day, that when we're talking about how to manage our boss. But more and more, I think we have to talk about some of that in the first 2 days, because this confidence and adaptability, before I had to adapt to my boss because I wanted to have the best results, to grow, etc., etc. But now, if the boss doesn't adapt to me, the new generations are gonna look to a boss that do adapt to them. So it's now getting more and more that also the boss has to adapt. It's not that I will give in to whatever the people are saying. It's not that I will just not be the boss. I have to still have some moments where I have to be really directive and stuff, but I have to adapt. Even in how I'm being directive, I have to adapt to who I'm talking to, how I'm giving this, what actually wants the other person to listen to and to hear in order to get this performance. Because if we think that people are gonna do what we want just because we say so, probably they will do for a while, but then they will do the bare minimum, just to that's what the boss wants. Just do it. No effort, no motivation behind, no extra effort, no nothing. And then they will get tired, because also what we know about new generations, they want to bring their ideas, they want to propose, they want to create. So if we're just giving, do this, do this, do this, they will do it probably for a while, but with the bare minimum effort, with the bare minimum results. And this is, and obviously me as a manager, this is not what I want for my business.
Of course. And that's why. Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, yeah, there is a consequence of that. I mean, as a you cannot today in 2025, you cannot assume that because you have been named manager or boss of a team that it's okay, that people will follow by default. Maybe it could work 20, 30 years ago. Today, I mean, after a few weeks, it will just blow out. I mean, people will just tell the manager, we cannot work any longer with you like that. And then the guy is completely, of course, destroyed, because he or she feels that he's not the right, or she's not the right manager. But I mean, as we all know, you can learn a lot of things. That's why we do training on coaching. But also, you need to be, as a manager, that's a recommendation I would give. You need to be genuine in that motivation. And Tano spoke about motivation, but motivation to be the right person, the right leader, the right boss. And don't just assume that because you have been named manager of something or director of something, that it's all done. So it needs to come from the heart, in a sense, and this willingness to be the right leader in front of people.
And sorry, Tadej, you were going to say something. Yes.
Yes, I believe that this is what will make you a leader, a true leader. the genuine part of giving to your people what they need and how to make them thrive and how to make them develop. If not, you wouldn't just be a manager. But okay, the world is full of managers. What we need is leading people and how we transform someone from manager to leader. If you have the talent, if you have the genuine interest, it's easier for you. If not, then you have to put a lot of maybe not a lot more energy than someone who is naturally born inclined to lead people.
Yeah, and something I was also like to bring to the table, because now probably we're talking a lot of the one-on-one managing, and there's a challenge there, obviously, and as we said, adapting, communicating, the way we adapt our own communication, the way we find what thrives and what motivates them. I think it's a good, some of the good examples and good tips we can give our audience to start managing this. But there's another challenge: how do we manage cross-generational teams? Like sometimes I have in the same team different generations, or sometimes I have different teams from different generations. So I'm not sure if you have any ideas, any things that what can a manager do to bring together this, because we have done a lot of self-reflection. Me as a manager, I have to adapt, I have to think, I have to do this, but how do we put our teams, and how do we bring our teams or collaborators in order to also do this flexibility with their colleagues and with their bosses and with other areas? What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's a challenging situation. I mean, I know actually we are helping coaching some of those bright people. You spoke about Generation X or even younger people like from the millennials who have been promoted to an executive role, sometimes even CEO role. I mean, for instance, in the watch industry in Switzerland, there has been in the past 5 years a big change of guard. Before, the big CEOs, the big bosses, they were like 60-year-old. Now there are a lot of them who are 40-year-old. And these guys in the executive committee, they have to deal with people from all ages. Some are like them in their 40s, but there are also some older guys who are still there, of course, like 55, 60, or even more. And then there are younger guys, young, very bright talent. And yeah, it's very often they come to us, say, my executive team is a mess. I mean, they don't say it like that, but this is what they mean. And this is, I mean, the most important thing I would say. I will let Thanos. I'm sure there are a lot of ways, but one way is first to make sure that all these people around the table, they agree on where we want to go, so that the vision, mission, values kind of stuff. I mean, this is the prerequisite, and then of course there are other things, but maybe Thanos, you also want to add some of your insights on that.
As we're discussing about generations, I feel that at the bottom line, the challenge is not generation itself. Generation is the source, let's say, of the challenge. But eventually is because of my generation, I have some experiences, I lived specific ages, I had to deal with different situations that forged my personality and forged my mindset. So I believe that the bottom line is a matter of mindset and how to combine different mindsets and how to make different mindsets collaborate and cooperate, and how you manage to combine different personalities. So if we see it in this way, maybe we will manage to broaden our tools, to broaden our the possibilities that we have to deal with these kind of challenges. I mean, if we just focus on generation and the date itself, 1970 something or 2000 something. It's not exactly the challenge. It's what does it mean for me to be born during the 70s? And what does it mean for someone to be born in 2000? The example that you gave, Mike, I was born, it was given that I will have internet. If I was born in 2000, I will have color TV, I will have fast cars, I will have, I don't know, whatever. When someone was born in the 70s, it wasn't given that you'll have even a TV colored. It could be something, very far from the imagination of people that, like me, that were born in the 70s. So this is the situation that I was try to handle as I was growing older, and also all the micro and macro environment that was brought up. That forged my mindset. Of course, my family, where I came from, my country, my whatever, also had an impact in my mentality, in my mindset. But at the bottom line, I believe it's a matter of different personalities and how you combine them, different mindsets, different point of views. So we referred previously in a magic word, respect. I mean, you have to respect the starting point of every different person. Every different person also have to respect my difference in my starting point. So if we respect each other, then we will try to find the middle point. We will meet somewhere. I'm very positive that eventually we will meet. But the starting point should be, I respect that you're different. I respect that you have different images in your mind, different experiences, different starting points, and then this is what made you be today. And my differences in the way that I was brought up is what made me be what I am today. Can we combine them? Of course. Am I willing to combine them? This is something personal. Am I motivated to cooperate and collaborate with a different person, even different generation or different culture or different whatever? This is also something personal. So we have to find out that we are different. We have to respect that we are different, and we have to be sure that we are motivated to combine those differences.
Yes,
and of course there are tools that are good news.
Yes, and I like two things you mentioned. You also, Olivier, and you, Thanos, you talk about mindset, you talk about culture, and I do believe this is really important. And sometimes companies, we don't invest so much in the culture of the company. Like we just give the main objective of the company, and we expect them all to go to the internet and know our values and know. And people new generations don't really care so much into what the main values are, and what they like to see the culture being lived. They want to see the culture being represented. And I go like a quick example, and probably a lot of the audience can find it. If not, go and see the movie that was based on the Google the internship thing. There's this comedy about, and we can talk about Google, and they have a really big culture. They really know, and everybody has to adapt to the culture. The culture is not adapting to the people in a way. Like, even if a late boomer goes there to work to Google, he has to understand that they are slides, that there are open spaces, that there are collaborative spaces, that they work in a different way. And probably these new generations are the one that kind of molded that way. But now the Generation Z are also known that they don't like as much as the millennials like these kind of offices. But the culture of Google is so strong that it doesn't matter in a way what is your generation. You have to go and live it, and so this is why, and I invite the audience to see this movie. This is why that is so funny, because they're this generation X trying to adapt to the Google situation. But again, culture is something really important to invest in as a company. Me as a leader, if it's me as a leader of a group, let's try to find what's the culture of our group, what's driving the whole team, etc., in order to create this and scope with these different differences that the generations brings and naturally have in their characteristics.
And the funny thing is that maybe the movie is already old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Because 12 years passed already, so maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer of the culture. I mean, if a company has a solid and great culture, it helps a lot. As you said, it helps a lot to align people, to make people work together, whatever their age, their feelings, their personality, you name it. And myself, I remember when I used to work for Microsoft no more than 25 years ago. It's a company with a very strong culture, and there are a lot of positives in that, in terms of ability to work with people from all over the world in a way which is efficient and. But of course, there are some conditions. First, it needs to be genuine. There needs to be some sort of exemplarity from people on the top. If you have the big leader, the number one, the CEO of the company, who doesn't leave the value, then everything collapses. So if the culture is genuine and is shared and there is exemplarity from the top, then it works very well. It's very efficient. And also, I would say, at some point, and this is something that has a bit decreased for various reasons, but companies, organizations need to be a bit generous also with their people, especially the ones who contribute a lot. And sometimes, people or managers or executives even take it for granted. They get their salary. What else? I mean, no, it's not just that. There are a lot of ways to as Thanos said before, motivation is not just with money, as we all know, and it has been true forever, I think. And today, I mean, probably one of the recommendations also for again for older people to get the right connection with the younger ones is to be generous, to help. When these younger guys speak about mentorship, they mean it. I mean, we value the experience, but please share, not teach, but share. Help us in a way that we grow, not just by saying this is what you should do and not should do because this is the old way and it doesn't work any longer.
Yeah, something I also like to mention, and it came through what you were both talking, is another concept we normally talk about is courage and empathy. And the leaders before could lack the second one and nothing happened. Like if you have good courage and a little bit of empathy, you could be a good boss. Let's put it like that. A boss that brings results, a boss that gets things on. You could do that. Now you cannot lack the second one, and sometimes even the second one is being more important than the first one. I think now it's the balance we normally talk about. It's right there. But before you could lack one, and you were able to manage it without empathy. Now, if you don't have empathy, you will never be able to get the results you're looking for. So This is another part, the active listening. Start listening people and understand what they are saying, not listen to respond, because normally we are just listening to respond instead of to understand what the other people is saying. And nobody cares of what you're saying. They care what they thought. They care about what they're feeling. They care about that. So the more we are doing active listening, the more we're being empathetic with the others, the more we think about others' interests, other motivations, is the more we're going to be on the right track to manage different generations, because we're going to give them the thing they actually need. Leadership also has to do a lot with giving to the other person what they need, the correct communication, the correct challenge, the correct feedback, the correct motivation, the correct everything. It's as you mentioned before, Thanos, it's not a one size fit all. I cannot motivate everyone the same. I cannot give the same instruction to everyone the same way and expect them to deliver the same results. Like, we have to adapt, we have to be empathetic and give the right amount, the right doses, the right, I don't know how to call it, but to everyone, to what they need. So empathy, it's a really important topic here.
I would like to combine empathy, active listening, and genuinity, as Olivier referred before, with genuine questioning. I mean, if you want to learn who is the other person, you have to make questions. You have to ask. You cannot just assume that this is what people are looking for or motivates them. Ask them. I'm here. Ask me. There are a lot of hows, a lot of whats, a lot of whys, a lot of. Just ask me. Just don't assume. Just don't assume that I'm a spoiled younger person than you, who used to be brought up with money, with whatever, and I don't know what. And this is why I'm acting, reacting, or behaving like that. Ask me. This is the way that you will find what I want, what motivates me, what I need from you, what is missing here, what I would like to bring to the company, to the culture, to the team, whatever. Ask and listen.
And I'm building upon the questions in the discovery part is really important, and also in the mentoring side of things that Olivier was telling. They don't want to be the new generations. They don't want to listen what has to be done. They want to discover what has to be done. So if I already know what has to be done, I have to do the correct questions in order to bring my collaborator to discover what has to be done and bring their own ideas, bring their own motivation to the task. But if I just go and this is 1, 2, and 3, they're gonna go, nah, my cell phone says that it's 3 to 1. What are you talking about? But if we want them to do 1, 2, 3, we have to do the right questions in order for them to discover that. So it's in the discovery part of getting to know the other, but also in helping them and guiding them to the correct answer without being me, the teacher that nobody wants. Again, I just came out of the university and my boss is also going to be a teacher. I don't want this. So yeah.
Nobody loves a lecturer.
Yeah. Sorry, Olivier, you were going to add something?
No, it's interesting to see how much, I mean, we are aligned, actually. I mean, we don't have the same experience, same age, and we are very much aligned on the analysis and recommendations regarding this topic.
Yeah. So okay, we're getting close to the finish of this episode. Before going to our conclusions, I will also remind our audience, if you're seeing this, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give a like button. We're gonna continue with these episodes. We're gonna bring more colleagues. We're gonna bring more challenges here into the conversation table. So I'm just happy you're here. If you arrive all to this place, you're in the right moment, because we're gonna start giving a little bit of the conclusions, a little bit of the tips. But before going that, just a quick 1-2 word answer. I would like to ask you, give me one good thing about each generation that they bring to the work environment. For example, what do we appreciate from boomers? What do we appreciate from the Generation X? What from millennials? And what from Generation Z? In whatever order you want to say it, and in whatever order you want to start, I'm good. But short answers. Let's not elaborate too much. Like, I appreciate this, I appreciate that.
Okay. So in order to respect a boomer, even a later boomer, Olivier, you can start.
Yeah, so I would say boomers or people my age, I think we do have experience of life, and it's the mindset that we need to have is share that experience, not try to to give lessons, but just share what we have learned. I mean, this is what we can bring. Generation X, I mean, they have gone through a difficult times, crisis like in 2008 in some countries, like in Greece, it was really terrible. There is resilience probably that is a resource from those people, and the younger ones, they have, I would say, it's kind of every young generation brings that kind of enthusiasm and passion and beliefs and the world today is not so easy. I mean, it's difficult everywhere. It's not new. I mean, older people know that every period has its highs and lows. And younger generation, I mean, can bring that enthusiasm but that enthusiasm which is a bit fragile, which maybe was not so fragile from the younger people in the past. Maybe were more like, we will do it, whatever happens, and we fight. And so they have this enthusiasm, but it needs to be respected and nurtured and fed, cultivated, I would say, like we are in spring now, when you plant your salad or whatever in the garden, to make sure that this can grow. That would be my way of answering your question. I'm not sure it's exactly what you wanted, but that's my way.
That's perfect, Olivier. Thank you, Thanos.
I appreciate from baby boomers the revolutionary mind. They brought revolution in many parts of society. If you bring in your memory, 60s and all the movements in this decade. So one word, revolution. My generation, I appreciate that they didn't follow the bad examples of the past. They try to make some changes, not in a revolutionary way, but in times that they were calm and peaceful, so they could, just be lazy on what the previous generation made, and just exploit the things that other people do for them. However, they were not set up with this. And to all the younger generations, millennials, Z, Alpha, are already 12 years old. Okay, so not in a working environment yet. They are bringing freshness. They are bringing a new point of view. So we have to respect this new point of view, and to learn from this new point of view. For all the older generations, maybe we should put some freshness also in our mind, the way we think, and in our blood, to refresh the way we think, the way we act, the way we see things.
Perfect. Thank you. And just for you not to think I just put you in the spotlight, I will also answer. What I really think baby boomers bring to the table in the workforce is, I really appreciate the way they can establish some plans, like long-term plans, some long-term objectives, and they really give a lot of space. Like, they really believe you can achieve it, and they will leave you on your own. And I think that's really good, because we don't also like that boss that is always behind you. So I think this is a really good positive aspect about Generation X. I also agree on the resilience. There are people that get things done. Whatever happens, whatever needs, they more hours in the office, no sleeping, whatever, they will get things done. So that's really, really interesting. About millennials, for me, it's the idea they like to do meaningful stuff. I really appreciate the idea. They like to leave something, even though they are not going to be in that company in the short term. They want to know, like, oh yeah, that project, I did it. When I left something that of value. I really appreciate that. Also that they are like really self-taught, like they like to investigate, they are curious, they like. And with the new generations, I think we have not had enough experience yet to understand fully what they bring to the table. But as we said, this motivation, this drive, this idea of creating always, I don't want to say friends, but they like to be related with other people. They create good ambience. They like to have a good working environment where everybody feels appreciated and happy. And so I really do appreciate. So again, if we see all the things we have just talked about that we appreciate, if we can all put them together, it seems like it's the perfect environment for a company, because we have long planning, we have people that get things done, we have people that are self-thought and that then give meaning to and we have people that want to bring everyone together and have good. So if you ask me, if we put all the generations together, we got the perfect work environment. Any last words, any conclusions, any last message you'd like to give to our audience before closing this first episode? Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your insights. It's been a really quite interesting and quite insightful conversation. So thank you again. And yes, please, just one final message for our audience, for everyone watching this.
Respect the differences. Together we thrive.
Perfect.
Yeah, and forget about gaps between generation. The mindset should be, let's bridge the gaps.
So thank you so much. We are Olivier from Switzerland, Thanos from Greece, and Mike from Mexico. And this was our first episode of the Human Side of Business podcast. We just raised we give you a little bit of tips. Probably in the next episode, we're going to go deeper on the communication side of it, deeper on the tools we can be using. But the first thing we want to talk about is, let's identify the difference and let's adapt to them. Let's be flexible with the difference and let's build on top of the difference, not despite of the difference. So for me, this is the main message. Thank you again. Don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you for the invitation, Mike.
And see you soon in the next episode. GG.